What's up with the MyP family? It's your boy LAPA coming through with another video. You guys already know what it is, man. Shout out to my subscribers, especially my channel members. You know who you are. And, you know, as you can tell by the good old caption, that thumbnail, King Nico, and a little update on the runner and the debriefer. So, I missed the story with King Nico because, for the most part, I'd be working. I work either 5 to 6 days a week, and my schedule was such that it's literally in the middle of the day, you know. And by the time I get off, it's like from the morning all the middle of the day, and I get off at night. And I used to get on YouTube if I felt like I hadn't dropped a video or a live, keeping this channel alive just with lives and shit. So I used to get off, see what current events were going on YouTube, and then I would jump on a live if I felt like there was something that I needed to speak on, something that was aggravating, something that to where somebody needed to be put in their place with the truth and things, mainly them two J-Cats. But I stopped doing that because if I did that, you know, get my little beer, whatever, and then I'll pay the price the next day going to work with only 3 hours of sleep, and I would pay, you know. So I stopped doing that. So I say that to say that that's the reason why I missed a lot of stories, including Nico one. Somebody sent me something on Instagram days ago when it first happened, and I hadn't even checked my Instagram because when I unplug, I unplug. Now, all this, that, and including the homie Hangout passing away, like, kind of in my days off right now, I'm going through YouTube and seeing what I could do, what I could talk, as far as like what I could find to see that if it's worthy of a conversation. And this one, to me, it is, because there's correlations to my situation, even though it's not the same thing. Let me go ahead and elaborate. So King Nico, he's a half black, half Mexican, southerner from down south, of course. You know, funny dude. You know, he's not part of the prison genre as far as I'm concerned, and that's a good thing. You know, he has a big following on YouTube, over 300,000 subscribers on one channel, and the other one has X amount. You know, doing funny skits with his homeboys. You know, mainly like pretty much being self-deprecating on him being half black, half Hispanic, and the challenges and the stereotypes and all that, the underlying racism that comes with that, even in prison, of being a black homie, you know. So it's fucking funny because he takes that shit and he laughs at it, and it's hilarious, and it's I respect it, I love it, and I it's funny as shit. Now, another thing I respect about him is like one of the things that I did, you know, not to make it about myself, but like I said, there's correlations. When I first came out on YouTube, the very first video that I did, very first one, I let everybody know what my status was, what happened. I didn't say exactly what happened then because I was gonna wait to see it for a later day to when I needed to tell my story, and I did. And I didn't even first tell it on my channel. I went on stories written by a current prisoner, and chat marks, blood on the razor wire, and I shared my experience because I felt like my testimony was worthy of something bigger than me sharing it on my channel, you know. So I waited. I could have been selfish and, you know, got a lot of views and all that, but no, I needed my testimony to be out there because it's important. So there's correlations, like I said. He, by his own admittance, King Nico, came out and said that he stayed on a 50-50 yard, Jamestown and whatnot. And even when he said that and he admitted to it, he still did it with some, he was still being facetious. He was still being funny about it. And, you know, that's who he is, you know, and that's why I feel like a lot of people will still fuck with him and still rock with him. Now, a 50-50 yard. His reasons were because, you know, it was a difference between months or a year or something like that. The reasons of why he stayed there is because he wanted to get home. You know, nowadays, all this gangbanging, politics, and all that, you have to be a dumbass to stay in prison longer. 1 day in prison is 1 day too long. Before it was unfathomable to lock it up, throw away your career for 8 months to a year. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, hell no. Like, dudes would do that on the toilet. Now, he only did a little bit of time. As far as this one, I didn't even know he was locked up. This is recent. But I did 15 years. 13 years on the main line. And it's just like, to me, like, the differences, there's correlations, but the difference was that they wanted me to overdose my celly. And unlike, like the debriefer said, lying, oh, they wanted you to whack your celly so you ran away. That wasn't the case. They wanted me to overdose him. They really want him dead. They don't want to take no chances, nothing. They wanted him gone, for reasons that I've expressed before. And so that discrepancy right there, you know, dudes like him and the runner just, you know, just talk out of their mouth, out of the side of their neck, and people still believe him, which is crazy to me. Now, obviously, after having done 15 years, 13 on the main line, you know what's crazy? The correlation is that on this one is that he did 13 years on a SNY and I did 13 years on a GP. That's the crazy part. 6 months in the back in the hole because I didn't want to give nobody up, and I wasn't even validated. They were trying to fuck with me. And a year and a half on D-Yard, the SNY, and as it pertains to Jamestown and the type of time Nico did on a 50-50, no knock to him, no disrespect to him. It doesn't matter. This ain't a fucking pissing contest or nothing. But just to the contrast, 1 through 4 block was the lower yard on D-Yard. 1 through 4 block. Regular homies, regular blacks, ex dropouts. It was like a big ass reunion from A yard and B yard. Those of us that were 1 through 4 block, a lot of us already knew each other from the active yards, from A yard and B yard. So we all gravitated towards each other. We knew that we didn't have chomo, rapists, rat paperwork, nothing like that. The gang members, like the 2-5ers, etc., they were on the other side of the wall in 5 block and 6 block. And then there was another wall, 7 block and 8 block. That was a THU, the transitional housing unit, when I got there. It eventually ended up transitioning into C status. That's what it was when I got there and until the day that I left. It switched. So the homies, regular dudes, man. To give you an example, there was this dude, Rafa. He was from IE somewhere, and an ex-skinhead. There were cellies. There were like 3 cells down from me. And these dudes, I was in 4 block the whole time I was there. These dudes took upon themselves to slice up a child molester from ear to ear. Why? Because they needed to change the scenery. Not necessarily because they hated him. Some of the homies did it because they hate him and all that. All I was worried about who I was going to live with. I ended up being a celly. My first celly was a norteño from Salinas. And the very first thing I did was ask for his paperwork because I wasn't going to live with the you know what. And when I say fortunately, I don't mean it to glorify it or anything like that. But to me, at the time, it was still fortunate, even though my mentality had changed a little bit. But I still had to traverse the rest of my term, and I still wasn't gonna fucking do time or be amongst somebody that I knew was that type of individual, because I just didn't trust myself around them dudes. I would have done something. So what they were trying to do when I got there, they were trying to put trannies in 1 block. No disrespect to them kinds, I'm just saying they were trying to do that. And every so often, not every so often, every single time they would put one of them dudes in there, whether it took a day, 2 days, a week, you'll hear it on the yard. Boom, 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 boom. These dudes got stabbed. They went at it with them dudes. And them dudes were fighting back. You know, they have to defend themselves. The point is that everybody on that lower yard that came from the main line, the majority were lifers. And they used to take it upon themselves to get rid of them type of individuals. And the 2 ways that we knew whether there was a child molester or any type of weirdo, it's either the cops would tell us or they would never come out of their cell. And they were single cell. They wouldn't take a cellie. They didn't care. They were terrified. The moment that they would get caught slipping would be if they have a really important medical ducket or something like that. Eventually they would come out. And that's when they would get got. You know, so the 2-5ers and everything that was in 5 and 6 block, them dudes, those whole blocks didn't have weirdos or nothing like that, because, you know, them dudes check paperwork and all that. I don't say that to glorify it or nothing like that, but that's a fact. That's them dudes fancy themselves still active, and that's what they were doing. As opposed to us in 1 through 4 block, not even me, the homies that I was doing time with, they were lifers. They just weren't condoning that, you know, because they have to live there for the rest of their lives. So they don't have to be gang members. They weren't gang members. They didn't start no gangs, nothing like that. They just was right is right and was wrong is wrong. And in that sense, they were handling business. And it's unfortunate because a lot of them didn't want to do it because, you know, they just want to chill, do your time. But like I said, that moral compass, they weren't going to allow it. Now, that compared to Jamestown, you know, a fire camp, this and that, it's crazy. Back then, it would be crazy to hear that somebody locked it up because of the difference of 8 months, 6 months to a year, over a year. You know, you could do that shit on the toilet. That's what we used to say, just talking shit, clowning. But you know what? I don't knock Nico for doing it because that gangbanging shit is over. That political prison shit, it's over. It's been over, man. 70+% of the system is SNY, etc., etc. And, you know, it's over. So, yeah, as far as whether he's done for good, I don't think he is. I don't think he is, honestly. It's not like if he went SNY, but I know that the purists are gonna pretty much chalk him up like, hey, he might as well be SNY, this and that. There's a way to clean that type of shit. If he wants to clean it up, he could clean it up. He might have to take an ass whooping or a pegada and pay some money, but you could clean that up. Except unless if he actually went SNY, debriefed, or anything like that. Obviously he didn't debrief, you know, he didn't do enough time for that. So I am proud, and I respect the fact that he came out front and actually acknowledged it. Took away the power from anybody to be able to expose him, and because of that, I feel like he's gonna be okay. He's gonna be okay. Times have changed. When you're on the streets, it ain't that serious. It ain't that serious. Now his homeboys say they used to do content with them and all that. They better not go back to prison because they'll be in trouble, guilty by association, things like that. So, come here. So, all right, that's pretty much my 2 cents as far as that. I wish him the best. You know, he ain't part of the prison genre, so it doesn't matter. He's gonna keep pushing, doing his thing. Shout out to him. Now, update as far as the runner and the debriefer. Once again, man, Gunner wants to come out and play the victim role. Not acknowledging the fact that him and the debriefer, Dubs, jumped the gun while calling themselves Josh's friend, and then divulging a story that was told to him in confidence by Josh, rest in peace, just to take an opportunity to smut up Renegade Media. You know, for anybody that sees that, like, who out there really thinks it's okay for somebody to break confidence with the dude that passed away, that you call yourself a friend, which he wasn't your friend, you were acquaintances. You know, you guys had beef more than a few times, and you were talking when he passed away, yeah, but you make it seem like you guys were best of friends. Like, cut it out, bro. Cut it out. Just because a dude was talking to you and he made decisions based on content for content purposes to get along with your channels because, you know, you're thriving, you have a big following. Make no mistake about it, man. That's the type of dude that Josh was. You know, he wasn't stupid. The only reason that he's actually collaborating with you and going on your comments and all that, it's because it's YouTube, bro. Like, the dude is still trying to grind and make money, and if he could get some of your subscribers and things like that to get more exposure, hey, more power to him. That's how YouTube works. Come here. But don't make it seem, bro, like you're best friends and this and that, condolences and all that. Oh my God, the hypocrisy, the two-faced, It's just crazy to me, you know, how big of two faces these dudes are. You know, and the fact that they still take no accountability when they came out and said that this dude shot himself, killed himself, even if that is the case, and when they say that out of respect for the family they took it down, bro, and that you didn't want to make, so Gunner said that if he really wanted to make money and that was the reason, that he would have left the video up. Then why put it up in the first place and monetize it? Why put it up in the first place and try to be the first one, and you try to muddy the waters now that a bunch of videos are out there? Bro, you two were like the first ones that put it out there. You know how I know this? By your own admittance. You said that the family got at you, the bad news, and then boom. That's what you said. That the family, the girl, his girl got at you and told you the story that he went into the race. They were talking, arguing or talking or something along those lines. And then that Josh went into the restroom and she heard a gunshot and then Josh was dead. That's what you said, Gunner. That's what you said. That's how it happened. And now you're trying to twist it like, the haters, nobody's gonna run up, and they only hate because it's me and Dubs. No, bro. We don't hate on you, bro. We expose the truth on you because you guys keep doing the same thing, bro. You guys are so money hungry and so convoluted in your heads with YouTube. You are so consumed with this shit that you don't care, bro. You do not care about anybody's well-being or anybody's memory. You trying to act like you're best friends with this cat when you weren't. That's just crazy to me. So they took the two videos down sometime that day. When I checked again, by the nighttime it was down already. Probably when they caught wind that the mom said that Josh died from colon cancer and complications of liver failure and things like that. It doesn't even matter how he passed away in a sense as it pertains to Gunner and Dubs putting out a video. You should not put out a video and trying to break news. Gunner literally put on there breaking news. Breaking news, the homie, like he thinks he's a journalist. And even worse, Dubs put out there on his thumbnail, the homie hangout killed. Why would you put out the homie hangout is killed if, according to you, at the time allegedly, that he died from a self-inflicted gunshot? Why? Why would you do that? Hold on, papito. Let me finish this, okay?
I need water.
You need water? Okay. Come on. Sorry, guys. I'm a dad, too. Not even sorry. Pardon me for a second. Yeah, so a self-inflicted gunshot wound, and your best friend Gunner puts that he killed himself. Like it's just crazy to me. It's crazy to me the audacity and the shamelessness of these two dudes, and not only that. Furthermore, the audacity and shamelessness and them trying to play the victim card. The victim card, bro. When they're the ones that you guys have always have self-inflicted gunshot wounds, so to speak, because you're the ones that shoot yourself in the foot every single time by trying to be the first ones to break news, the first ones to talk on something, the first one. Your ego is so humongous, and it's crazy to have seen the transition of John Villa, aka Dubs, Joker from Santa Bruta. The how you let him get to he let you get to his head so much, bro, that dude is unrecognizable, bro. From the insecure laughs that he tries to pretend like everybody's gonna think that he don't care because he just laughs at it, like from that to the rest, it's just like, damn, bro, like it's disgusting, bro. It's disgusting. And I don't say that because I'm the fucking as clean as a whistle or anything like that, you know, like the pure driven snow. Like it's that it really is, bro. For me to say some shit like that after the shit that I've done in my life and violence and all that, it really is shocking, bro. Like, it's embarrassing. So that for the most part, that's the update I want to give. That dude put up a video today, and he didn't do it yesterday. He did it, I guess, today or earlier today. Yesterday I dropped the video, and he hadn't dropped the video yet. But yeah, it's okay, puppy. Okay. I just knew that he was gonna drop a video, and instead of taking any accountability for their mistakes, all he could have really come out and said was, instead, it's just like, look, this is what we heard. We were wrong. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, like, it really doesn't matter. Maybe it would save a little bit of face. But it wouldn't have happened anyways, because you went on to smut up Jay Hans with a fake story on how he got Josh's dog put to sleep because it bit one of his children. And I actually touched on that and the probability of that. And even if it happened, it's just even if that were true, it's an unfortunate situation, and it's nobody's fault. You know, from a dog being put to sleep to the parents having to report that, because, you know, CPS, when they take the kids to the hospital with the dog bite, they're gonna investigate. They're gonna call the cops. They're not just gonna let that shit ride. You know, so what father, if Jay or Renegade Media and everything, like, trying to smut him up like, oh, he got his dog killed, bro, that nobody could stop. They can't go against the law. You know what I'm saying? Like, it wouldn't even been his fault if that happened. It's just a tragedy if that was true. But you try to blame that for the suicide. Come here, puppy. Come here. You try to blame that and say that Josh killed himself, pretty much alluding to that fact, insinuating that Josh killed himself, which is, from what I understand, not true, while trying to smut up another content creator that you've been trying to smut up any chance you get. It's just despicable, completely despicable, you know. And to me, it's just, for the life of me, I don't even understand how that is even possible, bro, you know. So with that being said, guys, I'm outie. You guys have a good one.